every time I come in the kitchen, you in the kitchen. In the goddamn refrigerator, eating up all the food.
Hey, have you heard the old joke about the newlywed couple? The wife is preparing her first Sunday dinner, a roast, following the recipe that's been passed down from her grandmother. The husband watches with curiosity as his new bride cuts the two ends off the roast before putting it in the pan. I've never seen anyone do that before, he observes. Why do you cut the ends off? Because that's how my mother always did it, his wife replies. The following Sunday, they go to the wife's grandmother's house for dinner. His mother-in-law and all her sisters are there, so the young husband asks about this odd culinary custom. Oh, yes, I always cut the ends off the roast, his mother-in-law explains. Because my mother always cut the ends off the roast. It's just how we do it. Her sisters confirm that indeed, the only proper way to cook a roast is to cut the two ends off first. Perhaps it has something to do with the tenderness, one guesses. Or maybe it releases the juices and improves the flavor, suggests another. The young husband wanders into the kitchen where the beloved family matriarch is preparing a delectable cut of beef to put into the oven. But he's shocked to see that Grandma has not followed the family custom of cutting off both ends of the roast before cooking it. I don't understand, he says. My wife says she cuts the ends off the roast because her mother always did that, and my mother-in-law says she cuts the ends off because that's what you've always done. All your daughters have confirmed that they, too, cut the ends off the roast because that's how they saw you do it throughout their childhoods. But today, you're putting the roast in the pan without cutting the ends off. Why is that? Wiping her hands on her apron, Grandma looks at the young husband and rolls her eyes. Because, dear, she replies calmly. I finally bought a bigger pan.
It's so nice to have the family together for dinner.
It's not exactly hilarious, but it does say something about how food can tell a story. Food is part of a link in the chain that binds us to each other and our families. The most obvious example is the way that recipes are shared and passed down through generations. In the movie Something to Talk About, Julia Roberts' character gets some marriage-related culinary advice from her grandmother, the results of which are surprising.
I don't feel so good.
Yeah,
honey.
we should take you to the hospital, I think.
What?
There's something in the fish.
What's what?
In the fish, honey.
Okay, so maybe some recipes are better left in the recipe box. But we've all got that stained and tattered index card tucked away somewhere with Aunt Hilda's banana bread recipe written on it. Even if you've memorized how many cups of flour and whether the walnut should be halved or chopped, for some reason, you always like to have the card handy when you bake. Why? Probably because it's the closest thing to having Aunt Hilda there with you while you measure out the vanilla extract.
Do you know if you take two ripe bananas, you put them in a bowl, and you put some sugar, and you go ahead and bake it for 400, you can go and pull it out and have yourself banana bread. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Yes, you can!
Recipes like these are a piece of our own history. They have the magical ability to send us back in time, if only momentarily, to a more nurturing, less keto-obsessed place. In many ways, food and family are inseparable. 1997's Soul Food is built around this concept, as confirmed in its opening scene, when the lovable young narrator Ahmad explains about his family's Sunday dinner tradition.
Yeah, those were the good days, all right.
The Reagans of TV's Blue Bloods enjoy a similar custom. The family dinner table is where news is announced, good times are celebrated, and troubles are talked through and solved. Or as Ahmad might put it, it's no coincidence that the place where we nourish our bodies is also where we nourish our souls. In some cases, the food we cook can become a part of our identity, something we can be proud of. Think about it. When you invite someone to dinner, whether it's a sit-down holiday meal or a backyard cookout, they will invariably offer to contribute their specialty dish to the feast, be that their one-of-a-kind potato salad or their signature vichyssoise.
Cold. It's vichyssoise, sir. It's supposed to be cold.
Everyone knows who in their family or friend group bakes the best chocolate chip cookies, and who can be counted on to bring a crock pot full of the spiciest chili. It's just not Christmas without Uncle Vito's linguine and clam sauce. And what's Super Bowl Sunday without your college roommate Jason's buffalo wings?
Who wants to eat some delicious chicken wings and get crazy?
Chicken wings?
In a world where so many things are unreliable, these dishes and the people who create them stand out as things we can count on. Food is a way of expressing the nurturing power of love. And the gold standard for this is the Italian mother. Mothers have a biological need to feed. Long after the cord, our original food source, has been cut, they remain obligated to keep feeding us, or risk jail time, I think. Do they resent this? Oh no, on the contrary, they relish it. The act of feeding the people you love is arguably one of the most base instincts a human being possesses. Director Martin Scorsese knew this, and to prove it, he cast his own mother in a small but profoundly endearing role in his film Goodfellas. Wholesome as this scene may appear, let's not forget that while these wise guys are enjoying their late-night meal, there's a not-quite-dead body outside in the trunk of their car. But when Mama says mangia, you mangia. And why does it do her heart good to see her son and his friends scarfing down all those carbs? Because there was a time in her family's not-so-distant past when such an array of deliciousness was well beyond her reach. In the early part of the 20th century, families who'd filed through Ellis Island in search of the American dream found it difficult to feed themselves. For immigrant mothers of all ethnicities and nationalities who struggled to nourish their first-generation American babies, the ability to put food on the table involved creative and sometimes desperate methods. For this reason, food has powerful historic significance. Cuisine is based not only in culture, but in the socioeconomic landscape of the era in which it originates. Consider the inexpensive meals your great-grandparents were forced to settle for during the Great Depression, or the ration-friendly recipes resourceful homemakers devised throughout World War II, and the festive and celebratory foods that followed.
Do you really think you can go back to making Jell-O molds again?
No, I don't know. I make a hell of a Jell-O mold.
I bet you do.
And no 1970s suburban dinner party would be complete without... well, maybe. Sure, but that's not what we meant. We meant...
The is that? Incredible.
It's called fondue.
Fondue what?
Fondue. 3 different cheeses, melted. That's what you're tasting.
Food is as susceptible to trends and fads as footwear and hairstyles. Rumaki and go-go boots exemplify the 1960s, the way avocado toast and the beachy waves scream the mid-2000s. Food has a place in the timeline of human evolution. It both defines and is defined by the era in which it appears. Regional foods tell stories of their own. So perhaps it's not just you are what you eat, it's also you are where you eat. For example, if you're young Julia Roberts breaking out in a little film called Mystic Pizza, you're probably thinking she eats a lot of pizza, but the film takes place on the Connecticut shoreline, which is why...
Lobster for breakfast. Lobster for lunch. A lot of lobsters here.
Funnily enough, the same is true for a young Matt Damon. Food is a status symbol. Rich folks eat rich foods, and they know how to do it. Knowing which food to use is tantamount to a secret handshake. And Ovies and TV shows have been dining out on food as class stratification humor for years. At the risk of making this all about Ms. Roberts, consider the scene in Pretty Woman in which Richard Gere's character, the wealthy Edward Lewis, takes a just this side of impoverished Vivian to a posh French restaurant. Her ineptitude with snails is like a neon sign telling the audience that, as enchanting as this working gal may be, she is woefully out of her element in this joint. Why didn't Edward foresee Vivian's embarrassment? And why didn't she give him a great big escargot to hell in front of his business associates? Because food, even French food, can be the great equalizer. And her slapstick faux pas is precisely the thing that charms her wealthy dining companions, and also helps her to earn zillions at the box office. The lesson? Sweetness and sincerity beat snails every time.
Slippery little suckers.
No matter how you slice it, food tells a story. It tells our story. It reminds us of where we came from, and it can be emblematic of where we hope to go. Food transcends our instinct to survive by diving deep into our desire to live. It brings us together, and by its very nature inspires communication and unity. So, cut the ends off the roast. Don't cut the ends off the roast. It's your story. So, serve it up however you want.
Do you want something to eat? Are you hungry?
See you in a minute.
Yeah?
Thanks for watching, Tongalers. Remember to like and subscribe for more exclusive Tongal content. And if you're a creator, be sure to visit the Tongal website at tongal.com for some exciting opportunities.